What if the scattered pieces of your existence, the mounting debts, the strained relationships, the unfulfilled ambitions, the dreams deferred year after year, what if all of this is not happening to you, but through you? Consider this question with the deepest part of your being. What if the very disorder that surrounds your life is not evidence of an uncaring universe, but a perfect reflection of patterns you have unknowingly etched into the silent depths of your own subconscious mind? And if this is true, if you are indeed the hidden architect of every circumstance, every limitation, every condition you now face, does it not follow that you possess within yourself the power to redesign it all? This is the question that changes everything. This is the realization that transforms victims into creators, wanderers into purposeful beings, and scattered lives into magnificent expressions of order, wealth, and fulfillment. In the next 50 minutes, something extraordinary is going to happen within you. Not because of the words alone, but because of what the words will awaken: a sleeping power, an infinite intelligence, a creative force that has been waiting patiently for you to discover it and direct it toward the life you were born to live. Every principle you are about to receive has been demonstrated countless times by those who applied it with faith and persistence. These are not theories. These are laws, as reliable as the law of gravity, as consistent as the rising of the sun. Before we begin this journey together, I invite you to make a commitment to your own transformation. Press the subscribe button now as a declaration that you are ready to change. Press the like button as an act of faith, signaling to your deeper mind that this teaching is already working within you. And in the comments below, write these words: "My life is coming together now." Let this phrase be your covenant, your affirmation, your announcement to the infinite that you are open, ready, and willing to receive. Now let us begin. There exists within you at this very moment a power so vast, so creative, so infinitely resourceful that if you truly comprehended even a fraction of its potential, you would never again spend a single moment in worry, doubt, or fear. This power does not sleep. It does not tire. It does not question whether you are worthy of its gifts. It simply waits, in the quiet depths of your subconscious mind, for clear instruction, consistent impression, and the faith that allows it to work unimpeded in your affairs. This is the power that built your body from a single cell. This is the intelligence that beats your heart 100,000 times each day without your conscious effort. This is the creative force that heals your wounds, fights your infections, and maintains the miraculous balance of systems so complex that the greatest scientists can only stand in awe before them. And this same power, this identical intelligence, is available to reorganize your finances, harmonize your relationships, attract your right opportunities, and bring every scattered area of your life into perfect divine order. The question has never been whether you possess this power. You do. It is woven into the very fabric of your being. The question is whether you will learn to direct it consciously, deliberately, and consistently toward the life you desire to live. Most people drift through their years never understanding this fundamental truth. They believe themselves to be victims of heredity, environment, economic conditions, or simple bad luck. They look at the chaos of their circumstances and assume these conditions were imposed upon them by forces beyond their control. They never suspect that their own subconscious mind, fed by years of unconscious thought patterns, emotional reactions, and inherited beliefs, has been faithfully producing the very circumstances they deplore. But you are not most people. You have been drawn to this teaching because something within you knows there is more. Something within you refuses to accept limitation as final. Something within you has always whispered that you were made for more than struggle, more than lack, more than the endless cycle of problems that never seem to resolve. That whisper is the voice of your own deeper mind, calling you to awaken to your true nature and your infinite potential. Let us establish first the foundation upon which everything else rests. Your subconscious mind is creative. It is not merely a storage facility for memories. It is not simply the seat of your emotions. It is a creative medium that takes whatever is impressed upon it and brings forth corresponding conditions in your life. Every belief you hold in the depths of your being becomes a blueprint for experience. Every sustained feeling becomes a magnet attracting circumstances that match its vibration. Every vivid mental image becomes a seed planted in fertile soil, destined to grow into physical form. The ancient scripture expressed this truth with elegant simplicity. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is recorded in Proverbs 23:7, and within these 10 words lies the master key to transforming your entire existence. Notice the precision of the language. It does not say, as a man thinketh in his head. Surface thoughts, the chatter of the conscious mind, have limited creative power. It is what you think in your heart, the deep convictions, the beliefs you feel to be true, the assumptions about yourself and life that you have accepted without question. These are the creative forces that shape your world. When your life appears scattered, when disorder seems to reign in multiple areas simultaneously, when you look around and see financial pressure here, relationship tension there, health concerns in another corner, and unfulfilled dreams gathering dust in the background, you are not looking at random misfortune. You are looking at a faithful reproduction of the mental patterns that have been running in your subconscious mind. This is the hardest truth for many to accept, because it requires taking complete responsibility for what is. There is no external force to blame. There is no enemy to fight. There is only the recognition that the creative power within you has been doing exactly what creative power does, creating according to the patterns given to it. And those patterns have been producing what you see around you. But this hard truth contains within it the seed of total liberation. For if you created unconsciously, you can create consciously. If your subconscious mind produced disorder based on disordered mental patterns, it can produce perfect order based on orderly mental patterns. The same power that built your present circumstances can build entirely new circumstances. The same creative medium that faithfully manifested limitation can just as faithfully manifest abundance. Let me share with you an account that illuminates this principle. There was a man, whom I shall call Thomas, who reached his 53rd year to find his life in complete disarray. His marriage of 25 years had ended in painful divorce. His career, which had once shown promise, had stagnated into a position that offered neither fulfillment nor adequate income. His health had deteriorated as stress, poor habits, and hopelessness took their toll. His relationships with his adult children were strained and distant. He confided to a friend that he felt as though his life had been one long series of wrong turns, and now it was too late to find the right path. His friend introduced him to the principles of subconscious mind science. At first, Thomas resisted. How could mere thinking change concrete realities? How could inner work transform outer circumstances that seemed so fixed, so final, so utterly beyond his control? But something in the teaching resonated with a part of Thomas that had never completely surrendered to hopelessness. He decided to experiment. What did he have to lose? He began by identifying the dominant mental patterns that had been running his life. He discovered, upon honest reflection, that he had carried since childhood a deep belief that he was somehow not quite enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough to succeed as others did. He had buried this belief beneath years of striving and achieving, but it had never left him. It had quietly sabotaged every success, created conflict in every relationship, and eventually produced the comprehensive collapse he now faced. Thomas began the work of impressing new beliefs upon his subconscious mind. Each night before sleep, he would enter a relaxed state and speak to himself with calm conviction. I am worthy of every good thing. I am capable and competent. I am loved and I am loving. My life is coming into perfect order. He did not merely repeat these words. He felt them. He allowed himself to experience the feelings of worthiness, capability, and love. He imagined scenes that implied these new beliefs were true, seeing himself respected in his work, loved by his family, healthy and vital in his body. The changes did not come overnight. For weeks, outer circumstances remained largely the same, but Thomas noticed something shifting within him. The weight of hopelessness began to lift. He found himself making small decisions differently, taking better care of his health, reaching out to his children, bringing more engagement to his work. These were not forced changes. They arose naturally from his new inner state. Within 8 months, Thomas's life was barely recognizable. A new opportunity had emerged in his career, one that aligned with skills and interests he had long neglected. His relationships with his children had been restored through honest conversation and consistent demonstration of his changed character. He had even begun a new romantic relationship with a woman who reflected back to him the worthiness he now felt within himself. His health had improved as his habits changed to match his new self-image. Thomas did not change his circumstances directly. He changed himself and his circumstances followed. This is the law. This is how it works. This is how it will work for you. Now let me speak of technique, for understanding principles is not enough. You must know how to apply them practically in the project of getting your life together. The first technique is the deliberate use of the pre-sleep state. In the moments before sleep, your conscious mind relaxes its guardianship, and your subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive to impression. Whatever thoughts, images, or feelings you hold in these precious minutes sink deep into the creative medium and are acted upon throughout the night and in the days that follow. Most people fall asleep in a state of worry. They review the problems of the day. They anticipate the difficulties of tomorrow. They feel anxious about finances, relationships, health, or work. And in doing so, they give their subconscious mind clear instructions. Create more of this. Multiply these problems. Bring me more to worry about. The enlightened student of these principles does exactly the opposite. Before sleep, you deliberately construct a mental scene that implies your life is in the order you desire. You do not visualize the process of getting there. You visualize the end result as already accomplished. If your finances are in disorder, you might imagine yourself sitting at your desk, looking at a bank statement that shows a balance far beyond your current reality, feeling the satisfaction and security of financial abundance. If your relationships are troubled, you might imagine a scene with your loved ones where harmony, laughter, and deep connection are evident. If your health concerns you, you might imagine yourself engaged in some activity that implies perfect vitality and wellness. The key is feeling. You must not merely picture these scenes as a detached observer. You must enter into them. You must feel them as present reality. Your subconscious mind does not respond strongly to cold visualization. It responds powerfully to vivid imagination saturated with emotion. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the creative force. Repeat your chosen scene again and again as you drift toward sleep. If your mind wanders, gently return it to the scene. If doubts arise, acknowledge them and let them pass like clouds, returning your attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Fall asleep in that feeling. Let it be the last experience of your waking consciousness. Night after night, persist in this practice. The impressions you make upon your subconscious mind each night accumulate. They build upon one another. They gradually displace the old patterns of limitation and disorder. And as the inner patterns change, the outer circumstances must change to correspond. The second technique involves the transformation of your habitual mental diet during waking hours. Just as your body is built from the food you eat, your life is built from the thoughts you habitually think. If you spend your days dwelling on problems, limitations, and fears, you are feeding your subconscious a diet of poison, and you will reap a poisoned harvest. Begin to monitor your mental activity with gentle awareness. Notice when you fall into patterns of worry, complaint, or negative anticipation. Do not condemn yourself for these patterns. That only adds another layer of negativity. Simply notice them and then redirect your attention. When you catch yourself worrying about finances, pause and affirm, "Infinite supply is my source. I am provided for in ways I cannot yet see." When you notice yourself rehearsing conflicts or grievances, stop and declare, "Divine harmony governs all my relationships. Only good comes to me and through me." When fear about the future arises, counter it with faith. "I trust the process of life. Everything is working together for my highest good." These are not empty affirmations. They are instructions to your subconscious mind. Each time you choose faith over fear, abundance over lack, order over chaos, you are impressing new patterns that will manifest in new conditions. The scripture speaks to this directly in Philippians 4:8. "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." This is not merely moral advice. It is practical instruction for those who wish to transform their lives. The things you think upon become the things you experience. Choose your thoughts as carefully as you would choose the food you feed to a beloved child. The third technique involves the power of spoken words. Your subconscious mind listens to everything you say, not just in formal affirmation or prayer, but in casual conversation throughout the day. Every time you say, "I can't afford that," you are instructing your subconscious to create circumstances in which you cannot afford things. Every time you say, "I'm so stressed," you are commanding more stress into your experience. Every time you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," you are planting seeds of failure. Begin to speak as though your life is already coming together, not in denial of present circumstances, but in declaration of the new circumstances you are creating. Say, "I am increasingly prosperous," rather than "I am broke." Say, "My life is coming into beautiful order," rather than "everything is such a mess." Say, "I am attracting wonderful opportunities," rather than "I never get any good breaks." Your words are seeds. Plant them carefully. Speak only what you wish to see grow in the garden of your experience. Let me share another account that demonstrates these principles in action. There was a young woman named Grace who had struggled for years to establish herself in her chosen profession. She was a consultant who helped small businesses improve their operations, but despite her genuine expertise and her sincere desire to help others, she could not seem to attract enough clients to sustain herself. Month after month, she barely covered her expenses. She had begun to believe that perhaps she was not meant for this work, that the universe was trying to tell her something by withholding her success. When Grace learned about the creative power of the subconscious mind, she realized that she had been sending conflicting messages to her deeper self. While she consciously wanted success, she unconsciously believed that business was a ruthless world where only the aggressive succeeded, and she did not want to become aggressive or ruthless. She also harbored a hidden belief that she did not truly deserve prosperity, that genuine service should be its own reward, and that wanting money somehow tainted her noble intentions. Grace began to work on these unconscious blocks. She developed new beliefs, that prosperity was her divine right, that abundance would allow her to serve more people more effectively, that she could be both successful and ethical, both prosperous and generous. She impressed these new beliefs upon her subconscious through nightly visualization, through affirmation, and through monitoring and redirecting her thoughts throughout each day. She created a specific mental scene for her pre-sleep practice. She imagined herself in her office, looking at her calendar completely filled with client appointments for weeks ahead. She felt the satisfaction of being in demand, the joy of helping business after business thrive, the security of knowing her income far exceeded her needs. She felt gratitude for this abundance, even though it had not yet manifested in physical form. Within 4 months, everything shifted. A speaking engagement at a local business association led to several new clients. One satisfied client referred 3 others. An article she wrote for an industry publication attracted inquiries from across the region. Opportunities seemed to find her, as though the universe had suddenly decided to cooperate with her efforts. But Grace understood what had really happened. The universe had always been ready to cooperate. It was her own subconscious mind that had been blocking the flow with its hidden beliefs of unworthiness and conflict. Once those inner blocks were removed, the outer abundance flowed naturally, like water finding its level. This is the pattern you will see again and again when you study the operation of mental law. The outer always follows the inner. Change the inner and the outer must change. It cannot resist. It is law. Now let me address a question that often arises in the minds of those who study these principles. What about hard work? What about practical action? Are we saying that one merely visualizes and waits for the universe to deliver? Not at all. Action is essential, but the kind of action matters tremendously. There are 2 types of action. The first is forced action, action driven by fear, anxiety, and a frantic sense that you must make things happen through sheer willpower. This type of action is exhausting and often ineffective. It comes from a consciousness of struggle and produces more struggle. The second type is inspired action, action that arises naturally from an inner sense of rightness and alignment. When you have done the inner work of impressing your subconscious mind with clear images of what you desire, and when you have cultivated the feeling of already having it, you will find that you are moved to take certain actions. Ideas will come to you. Opportunities will present themselves. You will feel drawn to certain people, certain places, certain activities. Follow these inner promptings. They are the guidance of your subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, leading you by the straightest path to your desired destination. The scripture expresses this beautifully in Isaiah 45:2. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. When you align yourself with infinite intelligence through the proper use of your subconscious mind, a way is made where there seemed to be no way. Obstacles dissolve, doors open, the path becomes clear. But you must walk the path. You must take the action. The inner work creates the conditions and reveals the opportunities. The outer action claims them and brings them into physical manifestation. Consider a farmer who has carefully prepared his soil, planted his seeds, and provided water and sunlight. He cannot then sit in his farmhouse and expect the vegetables to harvest themselves. When the time comes, he must go into the field and gather what has grown. The harvest is the natural result of all his prior work, but it still requires his participation to complete. So it is with you. Do the inner work faithfully. Impress your subconscious mind with clear images and deep feelings of your life in perfect order. Maintain your mental diet of constructive thoughts. Speak words that align with your desired reality. And then, When inspiration moves you to action, when opportunities appear, when guidance comes, act upon it. Do your part, and watch as the infinite does its part. Let me now address the area of health, for a life that is truly together must include the well-being of the body. Many people who struggle with health concerns fail to understand the profound connection between mind and body. Your subconscious mind controls every function of your physical form. It regulates your heartbeat, your digestion, your immune response, your cellular repair. It is the seat of healing. When you constantly think thoughts of illness, when you speak words of disease, when you fear physical breakdown, you are impressing these patterns upon the very intelligence that governs your health. You are, in effect, instructing your subconscious to create the conditions you fear. I am not saying that you have consciously caused any illness you may be experiencing. Much of this happens beneath the threshold of awareness, through inherited beliefs, environmental influences, and emotional patterns established long ago. But I am saying that the same intelligence that can create disorder in the body can create order and healing when properly directed. Begin to see yourself as perfectly healthy. Imagine your body in ideal function. Feel vitality flowing through every cell. Give thanks for your health as though it were already completely established. Refuse to claim illness as your own. Instead of saying, "my arthritis" or "my diabetes," begin to speak of these conditions as temporary visitors that are in the process of leaving. Again, let me be clear. This teaching is educational and inspirational. Many have found that combining these mental practices with appropriate medical care produces remarkable results. Your subconscious mind works through many channels, and wise guidance from health professionals can be part of how the infinite intelligence within you expresses healing. But never underestimate the power of your own mental contribution to your health. The mind and body are not separate systems. They are one integrated whole. What you persistently think and feel becomes the biochemistry of your body. Thoughts of peace and vitality create a physical environment conducive to healing. Thoughts of fear and disease create an environment hospitable to illness. This is not philosophy. This is demonstrated in study after study that shows how mental and emotional states influence physical health. Your subconscious mind is listening to every thought, observing every feeling, and adjusting your physical condition accordingly. Feed it thoughts of wellness, and wellness will be promoted. Feed it thoughts of disease, and disease will be promoted. Let me return now to the theme of wealth, for financial disorder is often at the center of a scattered life. When finances are unstable, everything else feels unstable. Bills create stress. Opportunities are missed for lack of resources. Relationships strain under money pressure. Dreams are deferred indefinitely. But wealth, properly understood, is not primarily about money. Wealth is a state of consciousness, a deep inner knowing that you live in an abundant universe, that infinite supply is your source, and that everything you need is either already present or on its way to you now. When you embody this consciousness, money flows to you more easily. Opportunities multiply. Resources appear as if by magic, not because you have become greedy or materialistic, but because you have aligned yourself with the truth of how the universe operates. Consider the natural world around you. Is there any shortage in nature? The trees produce countless seeds, of which only a fraction need to germinate to perpetuate the species. The ocean contains more water than humanity could ever use. The sun pours forth energy without measure. The universe operates on a principle of lavish abundance, and you are part of this universe. The same abundance that is evident everywhere in nature is available to you in the form of ideas, opportunities, connections, and material supply. The scripture affirms this in Psalm 23:1. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This is not a promise for some future time. It is a statement of present truth. If you accept the infinite as your source, you shall not want. Lack is impossible when you are connected to unlimited supply. But here is where many go wrong. They pray for abundance while feeling poverty. They affirm prosperity while radiating lack. They ask for wealth while clutching tightly to every penny out of fear there will be no more. Your words and your conscious desires mean little if your feelings tell a different story. It is the feeling, the deep emotional tone, that impresses your subconscious mind and determines what you attract. To develop true wealth consciousness, you must feel wealthy now, not in denial of your current bank balance, but in anticipation of its transformation. Feel the feeling of financial security. Feel the spaciousness of having more than enough. Feel gratitude for the money that is already in your life, however little it may seem. This feeling of wealth attracts its material equivalent. A man whom I shall call Bernard demonstrated this principle dramatically. He was an accountant who spent 30 years helping wealthy clients manage their money while he himself lived paycheck to paycheck. He knew every technique for building wealth, yet he remained poor. When he examined his inner life honestly, he discovered the reason. He resented wealth. He had grown up in a family where money was associated with corruption, greed, and moral failure. The love of money is the root of all evil, had been drummed into him since childhood, and he had absorbed the unspoken conclusion that money itself was somehow tainted. Bernard did the inner work of changing this association. He came to understand that money is simply a medium of exchange, inherently neither good nor evil. He recognized that his desire for financial security and abundance was natural and healthy. He began to appreciate wealth as a tool that could be used for tremendous good in the world. He also began practical wealth-building behaviors he had always recommended to clients but never applied to himself. Consistent saving, wise investing, living below his means. And each night, he fell asleep imaging himself reviewing investment statements that showed substantial and growing assets, feeling the security and freedom these represented. Within 3 years, Bernard's net worth had grown more than it had in the previous 30 years combined. His income increased. Unexpected windfalls appeared. His investments performed remarkably well. He became a walking demonstration of the principle he now taught to others: change the inner, and the outer must follow. Let me speak now about relationships, for human connection is central to a life that is truly together. Many people find that their relationships are a source of chaos, patterns of conflict, misunderstanding, betrayal, and loneliness that repeat across years and across different partners. The principle here is the same as in every other area. Your outer relationships reflect your inner state. If you do not love and accept yourself at the deepest level, you will attract relationships that mirror this lack of self-love. If you believe you are unworthy of good treatment, you will find yourself treated poorly. If you hold grievances and resentments from the past, you will recreate in new relationships the very patterns you resent. The path to harmonious relationships begins within. You must come into right relationship with yourself before you can come into right relationship with others. This means accepting yourself completely, forgiving yourself for all past mistakes, and recognizing your inherent worth as an expression of the infinite. It also means releasing all grievances against others. Resentment is a poison you drink hoping to harm someone else. It creates nothing but more conflict and more pain. When you release your grievances, not because those who wronged you deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom from the burden of carrying bitterness, you clear the way for new patterns to emerge in your relationships. The technique here is the same as with any other change you wish to create. Visualize harmonious relationships. See yourself surrounded by loving, supportive, respectful people. Feel the feelings of being genuinely appreciated and understood. Speak words of blessing and appreciation about others, even if your current experience of them falls short. And through this inner work, you will find your outer relationships transforming. Some relationships may improve dramatically. Others may naturally fall away as you come into alignment with higher patterns. New people will enter your life who reflect your new consciousness. This is not rejection of the old. It is natural selection based on vibrational harmony. A woman named Helena came to understand this principle after a series of painful romantic relationships. She had been abandoned, betrayed, and disrespected by multiple partners. She had begun to believe that all men were untrustworthy, that lasting love was impossible, that she was destined to be alone. When she examined her inner world, she discovered that she herself did not believe she was worthy of lasting love. She had internalized messages from childhood that told her she was too much trouble, too demanding, too difficult. Though she consciously wanted love, she unconsciously believed she would always be abandoned. Helena began to work on this core belief. She practiced loving and accepting herself unconditionally. She forgave her parents for the messages they had inadvertently imparted. She released her grievances against former partners, not to excuse their behavior, but to free herself from its grip. And she created new mental images, seeing herself in a loving, committed, harmonious relationship with a man who cherished her. Within a year, she met such a man. He was different from anyone she had dated before, not because the universe had suddenly created a new type of man, but because she was now able to attract and be attracted to a different pattern. Her outer relationship transformed because her inner relationship with herself had transformed. As we begin to close this first portion of our teaching together, I want to remind you of the fundamental truth that underlies everything. The infinite intelligence that created you is within you now, ready and eager to express through you as perfect order, abundant supply, radiant health, and loving relationships. You are not separate from this intelligence. You are not distant from this power. It is closer to you than your own breath. It is more intimate than your own heartbeat. Your task is not to acquire this power. You already have it. Your task is to remove the inner obstacles that have been blocking its expression. The limiting beliefs, the negative emotional patterns, the unconscious assumptions about yourself and life. These are the only barriers between you and the full manifestation of your good. As you dissolve these barriers through the techniques we have discussed, through pre-sleep impression, through conscious direction of your thoughts, through careful selection of your words, through cultivating the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the power that has always been present begins to flow freely through you and into your experience. Getting your life together is not about struggling harder. It is about aligning deeper. It is about coming into harmony with the infinite intelligence that knows exactly how to arrange every detail of your existence for your highest good. It is about trusting the creative process that operates unfailingly when properly engaged. You have within you right now everything you need to transform every area of your life. There is no missing ingredient. There is no secret technique being withheld. There is only the invitation to apply what you know, to persist in your practice, and to trust the law to operate as it always has and always will. The second portion of our teaching will take you deeper still. We will explore more advanced principles for sustaining your new consciousness, for overcoming doubt and impatience, for accelerating your transformation, and for creating not merely an orderly life but an extraordinary one. For now, rest in the truth that has been shared. Let it settle into the depths of your subconscious mind. Feel the reality of the power within you. Know that you are supported by an infinite intelligence that wants your highest good even more than you want it yourself. Your life is coming together. Even now, as you listen, the creative process is at work. Changes are occurring in the invisible realm that will soon be visible in your experience. Trust this, believe this, feel this. And when you are ready, we will continue. Let us continue now into the deeper waters of this teaching, for what we have covered thus far is merely the foundation upon which a truly transformed life is built. You have learned that your subconscious mind is creative, that it faithfully produces in your outer world whatever patterns are impressed upon it from within. You have learned the techniques of pre-sleep impression, of directing your conscious thoughts, of speaking words aligned with your desires. These are essential practices, and they will serve you well. But there is more. There are subtleties to this work that separate those who experience modest improvement from those who experience complete transformation. There are depths of understanding that, once grasped, accelerate the manifestation of your good beyond what you might currently imagine possible. There are obstacles that arise along the path: doubt, impatience, apparent setbacks, and you must know how to navigate them with faith and wisdom. Let us speak first of persistence, for this is where many sincere students of these principles fall short. They learn the techniques. They apply them with initial enthusiasm. They practice their pre-sleep visualizations for a week, perhaps two, perhaps even a month. And then, when the outer world has not yet rearranged itself to match their inner work, they conclude that the principles do not work, or worse, that the principles work for others but not for them. This is a tragic misunderstanding of how the creative process operates. Consider the farmer once more. He plants his seeds in spring, but he does not expect to harvest in a week. He understands that there is a natural gestation period during which the seeds must germinate, send down roots, push up through the soil, develop stalks and leaves, flower, and finally produce fruit. He does not dig up his seeds after a few days to check if they are growing. He does not abandon his field because the harvest has not appeared immediately. He trusts the process. He continues to water and tend his crops, and in due time the harvest comes. Your mental seeds operate according to the same principle. When you impress a new pattern upon your subconscious mind, you have planted a seed. That seed will grow. It must grow. This is law, but it requires time to develop. The larger the change you are creating, the more deeply rooted the old patterns you are replacing, the longer the gestation period may be. This is not a flaw in the system. This is wisdom built into the creative process. If every fleeting thought manifested instantly, your life would be chaos. You would create and uncreate constantly, based on passing moods and momentary fears. The time delay allows you to clarify what you truly want, to deepen your commitment, to refine your vision. It is a protection and a gift. Your task during this gestation period is to maintain your faith. Continue your practices. Keep impressing the new pattern upon your subconscious mind, night after night. Guard your thoughts during the day. Speak words of faith and expectation. And above all, refuse to be moved by the appearance of circumstances that have not yet changed. The scripture offers powerful guidance here. In Hebrews 11:1 we read, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Notice the precision of this language. Faith is not merely hoping that something will happen. Faith is substance. It is the very material from which your manifestation is being formed in the invisible realm. Faith is evidence. It is proof of what exists in the spiritual dimension before it appears in the physical. When you maintain faith during the waiting period, you are not engaging in wishful thinking. You are acknowledging a deeper reality. You are recognizing that your good already exists in the realm of mind and is in the process of being clothed in physical form. You are seeing with the inner eye what the outer eye cannot yet perceive. Those who understand this principle do not waver when circumstances appear unchanged. They do not interpret delay as denial. They know that every day of faithful practice is bringing them closer to the moment of manifestation. They trust absolutely that what has been planted must grow, that what has been impressed upon the subconscious must express in experience. A man named Gerald provides a powerful illustration of this principle. Gerald was a salesman in the automotive industry who had struggled for years to achieve the level of success he desired. He learned the principles of subconscious mind science and began applying them diligently. Each night, he visualized himself receiving an award at his company's annual sales conference, an award given only to those who achieved the highest levels of performance. He felt the weight of the trophy in his hands. He heard the applause of his colleagues. He experienced the pride and satisfaction of having reached the pinnacle of his profession. For 6 months, Gerald's outer results showed little improvement. His sales figures were marginally better, but nowhere near the level required for the award he was imagining. A lesser man might have abandoned the practice, concluding it was futile. But Gerald understood the principle of persistence. He continued his nightly visualization without wavering. He maintained his faith without compromise. In the 7th month, something shifted. A major corporate account that had been with a competitor for decades suddenly became available. Gerald was in the right place at the right time, or so it appeared to outside observers. In truth, his subconscious mind, working in ways he could not consciously perceive, had been arranging circumstances, guiding his decisions, and positioning him for this opportunity. He won the account. The commission alone exceeded his entire previous year's income. By year's end, Gerald stood on the stage at his company's annual conference, receiving exactly the award he had been visualizing for months. The trophy felt in his hands exactly as he had imagined. The applause sounded exactly as he had heard it in his mind. The principle had worked, not instantly, but inevitably. Let this account strengthen your resolve. Do not abandon your practice because results have not yet appeared. Do not interpret the delay as evidence that the law does not work. Trust the process. Maintain your faith. Continue your inner work. The harvest is certain for those who persist. Now let us address the challenge of doubt, for this is perhaps the greatest obstacle that students of these principles face. You may be completely convinced of the truth of these teachings while reading or listening to them. But when you return to your daily life, when you face the concrete reality of unpaid bills, difficult relationships, or health concerns, doubt creeps in. A voice whispers, "This is foolish. Mere thinking cannot change these hard realities. You are deceiving yourself." You must understand the nature of this voice. It is not the voice of wisdom or reason. It is the voice of your old mental patterns fighting for survival. Every belief system, once established in the subconscious mind, tends to perpetuate itself. The limiting beliefs you have carried for years do not surrender easily. They resist being replaced. They generate thoughts designed to discourage you from continuing the practices that threaten their existence. When doubt arises, do not fight it directly. Resistance only strengthens it. Instead, acknowledge it calmly and then redirect your attention. You might say to yourself, "I notice that doubt is present. This is simply my old pattern of thinking trying to persist. I choose to focus instead on the truth of infinite possibility." The scripture offers a powerful technique for dealing with doubt in Mark 11:24. "Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Notice the tense of the verbs. You are to believe that you receive, present tense, not that you will receive at some future time. This is the key to overcoming doubt. Claim your good now. Feel it as present reality now. Do not postpone your sense of having to some future moment when circumstances have changed. When you believe that you receive now, You are not denying current circumstances. You are denying their permanence. You are affirming a higher truth, the truth of what is forming in the invisible realm and must inevitably appear in the visible. This stance of present-tense belief is the most powerful antidote to doubt. There is also wisdom in limiting your exposure to influences that strengthen doubt. If you spend hours consuming news of economic disaster, you will find it difficult to maintain consciousness of prosperity. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain about how hard life is, you will absorb their consciousness. If you continually revisit your problems in conversation, dwelling on how bad things are, you reinforce the very patterns you are trying to change. This does not mean living in denial or avoiding all awareness of current events and circumstances. It means being selective about where you place your attention. It means choosing to focus on possibility rather than limitation, on solutions rather than problems, on faith rather than fear. A woman named Rosalind learned this lesson through experience. She had begun practicing the principles with great enthusiasm, but she lived with a husband who was deeply pessimistic. Every evening, he would recount the troubles of his day, the difficulties of the economy, the disappointments he had experienced. Rosalind would listen sympathetically, and then she would find that her own consciousness had been dragged down. Her visualizations that night would be contaminated by doubt. Her faith would be weakened. Rosalind made a difficult decision. She did not leave her husband or cease to love him, but she began to protect her consciousness. She gently redirected conversations away from complaint. She spent more time in solitude, nurturing her own inner state. She stopped participating in the ritual of shared pessimism, not through judgment or condemnation, but simply through quiet withdrawal of her energy. Within months, something remarkable happened. Her husband began to change. Her consistent refusal to engage with negativity, combined with her own increasingly positive presence, created a new atmosphere in their home. He could not maintain his old pattern in the face of her transformed consciousness. He began, hesitantly at first, to adopt more hopeful perspectives. This is another principle worth understanding. As you change yourself, you change your influence on everyone around you. You do not need to preach or persuade. Your transformed consciousness becomes a silent invitation for others to transform as well. Some will accept the invitation. Others may withdraw from your life, unable to resonate with your new frequency. Either way, you will find yourself surrounded by people who reflect your new inner state. Let me speak now of the role of gratitude, for this is one of the most powerful accelerants of manifestation available to you. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotion or a social courtesy. It is a creative force that aligns you with abundance and opens the channels through which your good flows. When you feel genuine gratitude, you are in a state of receiving. You are acknowledging that good has come to you. Your subconscious mind notes this acknowledgement and responds by bringing more to be grateful for. Gratitude and abundance create a virtuous cycle. Gratitude attracts abundance, and abundance generates more gratitude. Begin to practice gratitude deliberately and systematically. Each morning before you rise from bed, think of 5 things for which you are grateful. They need not be large things. The warmth of your blanket, the sound of birds outside your window, the people who love you, the fact that you have another day to live and grow and experience. Feel genuine appreciation for these gifts. Throughout your day, look for opportunities to feel grateful. When something goes well, pause to appreciate it. When someone shows you kindness, let yourself really receive it and feel thankful. When you enjoy a meal, a sunset, a moment of laughter, be fully present to the goodness of that experience. And here is the master key. Begin to feel grateful for your good before it has manifested. Thank the infinite for the abundance that is flowing to you now. Express appreciation for the health that is being established in your body. Feel gratitude for the loving relationships that are being attracted into your life. This is not pretense or denial. It is acknowledgement of what already exists in the invisible realm and is on its way to physical manifestation. The scripture encourages this practice in Philippians 4:6. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto God. The word translated as careful means anxious or worried. You are to be anxious about nothing, but instead to bring your requests with thanksgiving. Not thanksgiving after the answer comes, but thanksgiving accompanying the request. This is the consciousness that accelerates manifestation. Now let us explore a deeper principle that many students never grasp, the principle of non-resistance, or what might be called the art of allowing. Most people, when they encounter unwanted circumstances, immediately go into resistance. They fight against what is. They tense against the difficulty. They push back with all their mental and emotional force. And in doing so, they actually energize and perpetuate the very conditions they wish to change. The principle of non-resistance teaches that you must stop fighting against circumstances and instead direct all your energy toward creating what you desire. This is not passive resignation. It is strategic redirection of your creative power. When you resist what is, you are giving it your attention, your emotion, and your energy. You are impressed deeply with its reality. You are, in effect, commanding your subconscious mind to continue producing it. But when you accept what is without resistance, not as permanent or desirable, but simply as the current state of affairs, you free your energy to focus on the new patterns you wish to create. Consider a river flowing toward the ocean. If there is a large rock in its path, the river does not stop and rail against the rock. It does not waste its energy struggling against the obstacle. It simply flows around it, finding the path of least resistance, continuing its inevitable journey toward its destination. You must become like the river. When obstacles appear in your path, and they will appear, do not stop and struggle against them. Accept their temporary presence and then flow around them. Keep your attention on your destination, not on the obstacle. Keep your energy directed toward what you are creating, not toward what you are resisting. This principle applies to circumstances, to other people, and even to your own negative thoughts and feelings. When doubt arises, do not resist it, accept its presence and redirect your attention. When fear appears, do not fight it, acknowledge it and choose to focus on faith instead. When negative circumstances confront you, do not rail against them. Accept them as the current expression of old patterns and continue impressing new patterns upon your subconscious mind. A businessman named Walter provides an instructive example. Walter had built a successful company over 20 years, only to see it threatened by a sudden economic downturn combined with the emergence of new competitors. He was losing customers rapidly. His cash reserves were depleting. Everything he had built seemed to be crumbling. Walter's first response was resistance. He fought against the circumstances with desperate intensity. He worked longer hours. He pushed his employees harder. He argued with reality, insisting that things should not be this way, that his success should not be threatened after so many years of hard work. This resistance achieved nothing but exhaustion and despair. The circumstances continued to deteriorate despite all his struggling. Then Walter remembered the principles he had once studied. He stopped fighting. He accepted, without approval or resignation, but with simple acknowledgement that these were the current circumstances. He released his tension and his desperate grasping, and from this place of acceptance he asked a different question. What new reality do I wish to create? From this calm center, clarity emerged. He saw opportunities he had been too frantic to perceive. He recognized ways to adapt his business that fighting against circumstances had hidden from him. He began to envision a new version of his company, better suited to the changing marketplace. He impressed this vision upon his subconscious mind with consistent practice. Within 18 months, Walter's company was not only surviving but thriving in ways that exceeded its previous success. The very changes he had been resisting became the catalyst for an evolution he would never have undertaken voluntarily. What had seemed like disaster became the doorway to greater good. This is what I mean by trusting the process. Even apparent setbacks are part of the larger movement toward your good when you maintain your faith and refuse to be thrown by temporary appearances. Let me speak now of the infinite intelligence that works through your subconscious mind. This is the source of all guidance, all wisdom, all creative power. It knows the answer to every question, the solution to every problem, the path through every difficulty. And it is not distant from you. It is within you, closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. When you face a situation and you do not know what to do, turn within. Quiet your conscious mind with its chatter and worry. Enter a state of relaxed receptivity. And ask. Ask the infinite intelligence within you to reveal the answer, to guide your steps, to show you the way. Then trust that the answer will come. It may come as a sudden insight while you are doing something unrelated. It may come as words from another person that strike you with unusual force. It may come as a dream in the night or an intuition upon waking. It may come as a circumstance that opens a door you did not know existed. The answers of infinite intelligence often come in unexpected forms. Your task is to remain open, attentive, and willing to be guided. The scripture speaks of this guidance in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Your conscious intellect, brilliant though it may be, cannot see the whole picture. It cannot perceive all the factors, all the possibilities, all the connections that infinite intelligence perceives. When you surrender your limited understanding and trust the greater wisdom within, your paths are directed in ways that your conscious mind could never have planned. This does not mean abandoning your intelligence or refusing to think. It means recognizing the limitations of conscious thought and supplementing it with the unlimited wisdom available from the depths of your being. Use your conscious mind to clarify your desires and to take appropriate action. Use your subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, for guidance and creative power. Let us turn now to the question of speed, how to accelerate the manifestation of your desires. While patience and persistence are essential virtues, there are also ways to intensify your practice and quicken the response of your subconscious mind. The first accelerant is vividness. The more vivid your mental imagery, the more deeply it impresses your subconscious mind. Do not be content with vague, fuzzy visualizations. Make your mental scenes as real as physical experience. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures, smell the scents. Engage all your inner senses in creating experiences that feel completely real. The second accelerant is repetition. A single impression may be forgotten. Repeated impressions accumulate and deepen. This is why the nightly pre-sleep practice is so powerful. It creates consistent, repeated impressions that build upon one another. But you can also reinforce your impressions throughout the day with brief moments of visualization and affirmation. The third accelerant is intensity of feeling. As I have emphasized, it is feeling that gives power to thought. A thought without feeling is like a seed without water. It may contain potential, but it will not grow. The more intensely you feel the reality of your desired outcome, the more powerfully your subconscious mind responds. This is not about forcing or straining. It is about genuinely generating the emotional experience of having what you desire. The fourth accelerant is expectancy. Expectancy is a particular quality of belief. It is belief with a sense of imminence. Not merely believing that something will happen someday, but expecting it to happen soon, watching for its appearance, looking for the first signs of its manifestation. This attitude of expectancy creates an alertness and openness that accelerates the recognition and reception of your good. A young entrepreneur named Sophia employed all of these accelerants in building her business. She wanted to attract investors for a technology company she was developing. Using the principles she had learned, she created vivid visualizations each night before sleep, seeing herself signing investment agreements, shaking hands with backers who believed in her vision, celebrating the funding that would allow her company to grow. But she went further. Several times throughout each day, she would close her eyes for just 30 seconds and place herself in that scene of signing investment agreements. She would feel the pen in her hand, see the smiles on the faces across the table, feel the excitement and gratitude in her heart. These brief repetitions throughout the day reinforced and intensified the impressions she was making each night. And she cultivated expectancy. She expected her investors to appear. She looked for them everywhere. She felt that the right people were already being drawn to her, even before she could identify them. This expectancy gave her a different energy in her interactions, not desperate or needy, but confident and assured. Within 4 months, Sophia had secured all the funding she needed from investors who aligned perfectly with her vision. The timing and circumstances exceeded what she had imagined. The infinite intelligence had arranged connections and opportunities that her conscious mind could never have orchestrated. Now let me speak of what it means to truly get your life together, not merely to improve one area, but to bring every dimension of your existence into harmony and order. Your life is not a collection of separate compartments, finances here, relationships there, health in another box, career in yet another. Your life is a unified whole, and the same consciousness that creates your experience in one area creates your experience in all areas. This is why people often find that problems cluster together, and why improvements, once begun, tend to spread across multiple dimensions of life. When you do the inner work of transforming your consciousness, not just changing specific beliefs about money or health or relationships, but fundamentally shifting your self-concept and your understanding of life, the effects ripple outward into everything. You become a different person, and a different person naturally experiences a different life. This is the deepest meaning of getting your life together, becoming the version of yourself who already has the life you desire. Not doing different things, but being a different person from whom those things naturally flow. Ask yourself, who would I be if my life were in perfect order? How would I think? How would I feel? How would I carry myself? How would I interact with others? How would I approach challenges? How would I spend my time? Begin to embody that version of yourself now, not after circumstances change, but as the means of changing circumstances. Step into the identity of your future self. Think as that person thinks. Feel as that person feels. Act as that person acts. This is the fastest path to transformation, not changing bit by bit, but becoming all at once. The scripture points to this truth in Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. The transformation is in the mind first. You are transformed by the renewing of your mind, and then your outer world conforms to your renewed mind. Let me share one final account that embodies the comprehensive transformation we have been discussing. There was a woman named Josephine who, at the age of 45, could point to failure in almost every area of her life. Her marriage had ended in divorce. Her estrangement from her children brought her constant heartache. Her career had stagnated in a position far below her abilities. Her health had deteriorated under the weight of stress and despair. Her finances were precarious, her friendships few, her hopes exhausted. Josephine came to the principles of subconscious mind science as a last resort. She had tried everything else: therapy, medications, self-help seminars, geographic moves, and nothing had produced lasting change. She was ready to either find the answer or give up entirely. What made Josephine's approach different from her previous attempts at change was its comprehensiveness. She did not try to fix one problem at a time. She undertook a complete transformation of her consciousness. She began by identifying the core beliefs that had been running her life, beliefs about herself, about others, about the nature of reality. She found themes of unworthiness, of victimhood, of life as struggle and disappointment. She saw how these beliefs had created her experience, how she had unconsciously made choices that confirmed what she already believed. Then she constructed a new set of core beliefs, beliefs that affirmed her worthiness, her power, her connection to infinite good. She impressed these new beliefs upon her subconscious mind through every technique available: pre-sleep visualization, daytime affirmation, careful monitoring of her thoughts and words, cultivation of gratitude, practice of non-resistance. She did not visualize specific outcomes: a reconciliation with her children, a promotion at work, a new relationship. Instead, she visualized herself as a different person: confident, radiant, at peace, loved and loving. She felt what it would feel like to be this person. She practiced being this person throughout each day. The transformation that unfolded over the next 2 years was remarkable in its scope. Josephine's relationship with her children healed, not because she pursued reconciliation, but because she became someone with whom reconciliation was possible, someone free of bitterness, full of love, requiring nothing from them but offering everything. Her career transformed, not because she strove for promotion, but because she became someone whose value was unmistakable, someone who brought energy, creativity, and positive presence to everything she did. Her health improved, not because she forced herself into regimens, but because she became someone who naturally cared for her body as the temple of her spirit. New friendships appeared. A new romantic relationship blossomed with someone who matched her new consciousness. Josephine's outer life came together because her inner life came together. She did not fix problems, she transformed herself. And in transforming herself, she transformed everything. This is the invitation I extend to you now, not merely to improve some troubled area of your life, but to undergo a complete renewal of your consciousness. Not merely to apply techniques for specific goals, but to become the person for whom those goals are natural expressions. As we draw this teaching to a close, let me leave you with some final words of encouragement and practical guidance. First, begin today. Do not wait for perfect conditions or complete understanding. Start where you are with what you have. Tonight, before you sleep, create a mental scene that implies your life is in the order you desire. Feel it as real. Fall asleep in that feeling. This single action, repeated night after night, will initiate changes beyond what you can now imagine. Second, be patient but persistent. The law works, but it works according to its own timing. Do not dig up your seeds to check if they are growing. Trust the process. Continue your practice regardless of what outer appearances suggest. The harvest is certain for those who persist. Third, guard your mind. Be selective about the thoughts you entertain, the words you speak, the influences you absorb. Create a mental environment conducive to faith and possibility. Refuse to participate in consciousness of limitation and complaint. Fourth, feel gratitude now. Do not wait until your good has manifested to feel thankful. Feel grateful now for what is coming. This gratitude accelerates manifestation and keeps you in alignment with abundance. Fifth, trust the infinite intelligence within you. You are not alone in this work. The same wisdom that created the stars and sustains the universe is available to guide your every step. Ask for guidance, expect to receive it, and follow it when it comes. And finally, remember that you are worthy of every good thing. Whatever has happened in your past, whatever you have done or failed to do, you remain a divine creation with infinite potential. The power within you does not judge or condemn. It simply waits to create according to the patterns you give it. Give it patterns of abundance, health, love, and success, and it will produce these things in your experience. The teachings you have received today are not mere philosophy or pleasant ideas. They are principles that have transformed countless lives when applied with faith and consistency. They represent the distillation of timeless wisdom about the nature of mind and its creative power. They are your inheritance, your birthright, your gift from the infinite. This teaching has been offered for your education and inspiration. It represents original reflection on the general principles of subconscious mind science and prosperity consciousness. As with all wisdom teachings, the value lies not in passive reception but in active application. Take what resonates with you. Test it in your own experience. Apply your own judgment and take inspired action appropriate to your unique circumstances. The responsibility for your life remains always with you. You are the thinker of your thoughts, the feeler of your feelings, the maker of your choices. The principles shared here are tools for your use, keys to unlock doors within your own being. How you use them is your sacred privilege and responsibility. Go now with the blessing of the infinite upon you. Go with the certainty that your life is coming together, that every scattered piece is finding its rightful place, that order and harmony are being established even now in the invisible realm, soon to appear in your visible experience. You have within you the power to transform everything. You have always had this power. Now you know how to use it. Your life is coming together. It is done.